This is Good Morning Albany, a motivational podcast to get your wheels turning. You're here with Shalem Love, a very sought-after wedding and portrait photographer. I'll be sitting down with creatives to discuss their process, their experience, and how to make a difference. We have a special guest here on Good Morning Albany today, my boy Ant with Yellow Talks.
What's going on, y'all? What's happening, baby? Good morning.
You know what I mean? That's his thing, and I love the way he does that. I really don't have an introduction for him, so I'm going to allow him to introduce himself and let the people know who you are, what you do.
First off, good morning, beautiful people. Hope everybody's enjoying the start of their day. Trying to be good, trying to be great, and trying to be better. You already know the vibes and how I give it up. My name is Anthony. Yellow Talks, Yellow Worldwide. A lot of what I do, as a lot of you kind of already gotten familiar with, is I do a lot of like the morning positivity, motivation, inspirations, and just daily talks with a lot of you guys. And I talk about different aspects of life and really trying to bring about perspective to people and challenging you to be a better you each and every day. It kind of started from a therapeutic stance, but I'm not going to go too far into that. I also still want to continue to let y'all know who I am. And so also I'm a program coordinator for the Capital District YMCA Black and Latino Achievers Program. It's something I heavily love with youth development and things of that nature. And I also just started another position with the Department of Recreations, and I'm a rec aide. So I work with Joe Johnson, also Jonathan Jones, the commissioner. So I'm definitely in the community and working heavily with the youth, as you can tell. And I'm also a full-time graduate student at the University at Albany, going for my master's in social work. I graduate May 2019, baby. So I'm doing a lot of different things. I got a lot of hats, as you could tell. And so I'm doing it all, and I'm all just about raising awareness of positivity, man. That's really what I'm about, and empowering others.
I got two things from there. So you say you work with Joe Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
The NBA player?
No.
No. All right, so, and you graduate in May.
Yes.
So congratulations on that. How long were you in college?
I mean, it feels like forever because I graduated in 2016 from the College of St. Rose, took like a year off, and then I started at the University at Albany just last year doing my first year of graduate school. Okay. And now this is my second year of graduate school, and so the goal is to be finished in May 2019. So I've been in school, I feel like, forever.
You have these positions that you work at, and you work with kids. Tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what do you do with the kids?
I'm a program coordinator. So as a program coordinator, my role is to really put on like workshops of whatever theme of the month that we have working within our program. And so our program is a college and career readiness program. And so a lot of what we do is try and give the kids those life and leadership skills to challenge themselves in those different realms of life. So on a college stance and on a career readiness stance, each week. So my program runs every Thursday. So if any of you guys have kids that are in high school and you really want them to be involved in these types of programs, a lot of what I do each week is challenging different aspects. So last week I was working with my kids about career development and what they wanted to see and where they're lacking and where they want to improve. And so a lot of them were like, I want to know how to do conflict resolutions with my supervisor and my coworkers. And those are real life things that we go through as employees that are in these workspaces. Because it's like a lot of times you like, man, wait till I'm off the clock. And that's not how we should be conducting ourselves as professionals. And so my role as an educator from there is to catch my students at that young age where they're like,
before they go left.
Before they go left. And so my role is to kind of steer them into the positive way of doing things, the professional way of doing things. If you have an issue, bring that to HR. If not HR, bring that to your supervisor. Like, hey, I've been having problems with this coworker as such. But needless to say, those are different things, as well as like youth summits. And so with our youth summits with the students, what we tend to do is a lot of intensive work. So if the goal of the month is, let's just say we're talking about cultural awareness. And so right there, we're talking about, at the youth summit, we're talking about social injustices. We're talking about racial discrimination in the workplace. We're talking about, what is the difference between race and ethnicity? So challenging them on those different topics of discussion and, police brutality and all these different things that they are learning in a way at school, but we're challenging a whole different spectrum of things.
I mean, you do a lot with the kids, man.
Yeah, man. I love youth development. As you could tell, I'm very passionate about this.
What made you be so passionate about working with kids and giving back and showing them a different way?
So for me, I started out as a criminal justice major in college. And so my goal behind that really was to be in the FBI. I had this like strong mindset of wanting to create the change within the federal organization, as well as, just the police department in itself, like just enforcement. But what I started to notice as I was in my undergrad career and learning all these different aspects of, what it is to be in the police department, I started to find that it wasn't for me. And I'm not going to go too into detail because I don't really do that to people. But I was just like, you know what, this really ain't for me. But as a camp counselor over the summer each year that I was taking upon these like youth counselor roles, I was like noticing that the kids were like, thank you, Mr. Anthony. You taught me so much. You've allowed me to grow in this such and such way. You've allowed me to challenge myself and push myself. And I was just kind of like, wow, like I never saw how impactful that was to me, to hear that from a young individual about how I inspired them, how I motivated them. And I took it lightly at first. But then once I got involved with the Black and Latino Achievers Program as a volunteer, when I first started out, I started to work with those kids more. And even they were coming to me and they were like, I really appreciate you being here. Started to notice I had this level of creativity where I loved doing workshops. And I loved putting together things that would challenge people to see the different approaches that they could have to a particular topic. And it was just so interesting at young ages how quickly they go to it. That's when I knew I found my passion, just seeing the feedback, seeing the way that kids were receptive to my workshops and things of that nature, and just seeing how passionate I was behind it. I was like, this is my calling. This is what I love doing. I love, as you could tell, talking. I love inspiring, and I love being that positive person to students and just people in general. And so I was like, this is me.
Oh, that sounds about right. So if a high school kid were to come to you, what can a high school kid expect to get from coming to maybe your workshops or one of your meetings, your weekly meetings?
I like students to break out of their shells. I like people to want to push themselves. And so what you're going to get out of me is I'm going to be on top. I'm going to be on top of you. I'm going to be in your face and I'm going to be like, yo, come on, let's get active. Let's get involved. A lot about breaking out of your comfort zone, but also creating a safe space at the same time. So understanding, meeting me where I'm at, and I want to meet you where you're at. A lot of what we do is just stepping out of your comfort zone, pushing students to learn how to navigate certain spaces. So I'm going to teach you at moments in time how to navigate college spaces, how to navigate professional spaces, how to navigate relationships, how to navigate certain social circles, because these are all different aspects of our lives that we don't ever take into account, that people move different.
Yeah.
In certain spaces where you would act with your homies is not going to be the same way you would interact with your supervisor. In the same way that you think that you would act with your college professor is not necessarily always going to be the same way that you would act with, let's just say, your friends. So it's all about connections, relationships, and all these things that you have to grow and progress with yourself as an individual, and be internally honest and be able to externally project. And so that's what a lot of what I do with my teens is like, are you able to be honest with yourself right now as a person and where you're at in life, and acknowledge who you are, where you're at fault, and how you can grow to be better.
Yeah.
And so a lot of within even my yellow talks, trying to be good, trying to be great, and trying to be better, that's what I work with my students on every day. So how are we going to be better today?
What I'm getting from it is, I say this to people all the time, is knowing the game that you're playing. Mm-hmm. And life is just a bunch of different games. You may be playing the game, I'm going to work this job for 30 years, get my pension, get my Social Security, whatever. That's the game you're playing. And you need to know all the levels, all the rules, all the calls in that game. Then you may have someone that's playing the real estate game. They need to know I don't know the real estate game, so they need to know the rules in there. And then you may have the people that's going to college. You need to know the rules to the game of college. You know what I mean? So stepping into college, how did you survive college? Like, what are some rules, some tips and tricks that you would teach someone or tell someone that's going to be in college?
For me as an individual, where I started out as, so the person you see right here is not the same person I came into college. In high school, I did not believe in education. I was just a straight athlete. That's all I believed in. That's all I wanted to do. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was good with a 75 to an 80 average. I was okay with that. But when I came to college, my parents put me into a mindset that it was kind of like, I'm not going to waste my money if you're going to mess around.
Yeah.
And that put a different battery in my back, where it was kind of like, at that age, I was kind of like, one, you're not going to talk to me like that. And then two, it was kind of like, okay, this is real. And so I knew for myself, one, I wanted to go away for college because I wanted to understand what it was to be independent and on my own, as well as most people at that age, you don't want to live with your parents.
Yeah.
You like, I think I'm grown. I think I think this. I think I know it all. And so I was like, yo, I got to get away. And so I went to college, went to St. Rose, and from there I just channeled a different type of energy. I still kind of question it till this day, what type of switch went off in my head that told me like, get it together. But I started out in a AOE EOP program. Now, for those that don't really know, EOP and stuff like that, it's an educational opportunity program for individuals that, you know, you may not have the money or the grades, but this is a program that allows for you to get that extended help, and have that like family of support that allows for you to transition into college a whole lot better. During that program, I met a lot of individuals that were like myself in high school that were like, yo, Aunt, we got this like free block period of time. Yo, we out to the pool. We out to play ball. My mindset was, I'm going to finish my homework first. Then I'll catch up with y'all later. And that's when I knew I had hit a learning curve of growing up. That's what made college a whole lot easier for me, starting out as a freshman, because who would have thought the guy with the 75, 80 average would then end off his first semester, his first year of college, with on the dean's list 2 times in a row that year, then at the same time having like a 3.7, 3.8 overall GPA. So I would shut off all social media for that whole semester, deactivate all those things, so that this way, so I had no distractions. There's a different level of want you have to have when going into college.
Okay.
And I feel like that's something that people need to ask themselves before they even think about stepping into college, as to why do you want to be here? My grandfather, rest his soul, told me after my first year, it was after my first year, he was like, college is one of those places where during those 4 years, during that course of your life, can either make or break you. You know, and it can either be that real turning point of you getting to see who you are, or it can be a complete downfall.
Just to move along and really dive into the college stuff, how does one survive college? Where does one eat? Where does one live? Where does one work? And how do you balance it all with school?
With everything that goes on in college, especially in undergrad, like undergrad, like when you go for your bachelor's degree, for those that are unfamiliar with the term, a lot is happening on college campuses. Like, college is a very fast-paced place. And so with balancing not only school, your academics, or other extracurricular activities to survive, really, you got to learn your environment. So me not being familiar with Albany in itself, or the capital region at all, I had to become familiar with where are the supermarkets, where's like the mall if I needed like clothing of some sort, where's like the closest places, where's like the bus lines of transportation and things of that nature, because I didn't even know what the bus system looked like out here. You know, I'm from the city where we got trains, we got buses, we got Ubers, we got Lyft, we got taxis. It wasn't until about last year that Uber and Lyft really started taking off out here. Learning how to navigate all those different type of things was very quite tasking. So that's one aspect of survival. And then when it comes to like the money management piece, it's your job as a college student, depending on your background when it comes to finances, because I found that when I was surrounded by certain people were more well off than me. When it came to finances, so certain people still had their parents like financing them, while as for me, I didn't really have that luxury. I had to really put myself out there in terms of getting a work-study job, getting an actual part-time job. And although as a college student, learn how to do these things for yourself first before always relying on your parents. That's an aspect of independency. It's an aspect of being an adult. So learn that while you're at a younger age in college where there's less bills to pay.
Yeah. So what is a work-study job?
A work-study job is one of the
study.
Work study. So work study is a job that they allow for you to do on campus. Depending on how much income your family does make, it then is allowed for you to be able to get that work-study job.
If you're living on campus or not living on campus, what's the difference?
Living on campus, you have more rules and regulations to follow. There are certain things that you're not allowed to have in your dorm room that if you were living off campus, you would be able to have in your dorm room, as well as there are certain expectations that you have to uphold living on campus. So living on campus, there's quiet hours. And then especially when finals weeks comes around, 24-hour quiet hours. And so for most of us that are college students that were like 18, 19, we're kind of like, I didn't come to college to like have another parent.
Yeah.
But that's the role of what the residential assistant is there, the RA. For those who don't know what that term is, that's their role there. Their role is to kind of be that overseeing parent in a way, to kind of put certain rules in order and make sure that students are being respectable to the space as well as respectable to themselves.
I'm understanding this, and I hope that the listeners are understanding it. I'm learning a lot about college. How do you eat?
Great question, right? So depending on what your meal plan is, for certain college students, you're allowed a certain amount of like dining hall dollars and things of that nature, or even just cash on your like ID card. And so that'll kind of allow for you to use certain food spaces on your campus. Now, if your meal plan is you don't have one at all, it's really then your job as a young adult to get that job, as we were talking about, or work study, whatever the case may be, and you have to buy your own groceries and have to really kind of create food opportunities for yourself.
That's definitely some good tips and tricks for college. But tell me a little bit about like programs such as frats and other organizations that go on at college. Like what's beneficial, what's not?
When I was in high school, I did not care for any of like clubs or those type of extracurriculars because I was more about being an athlete. But when you step into college, those like student groups, fraternities, sororities, and other like dance, performing art groups, it's a different ball game when you go into college, and it's something you look forward to. At St. Rose, it's called Spectrum, and so it's a multicultural group on campus that is about like empowering all different walks of life. I would go there because it felt like it was a safe space for people of color like myself, and two, it was just like the topics of discussion that we would have. So talking about healthy relationships, talking about police brutality, talking about racial discrimination in the workplace, or talking about certain history months, and what was the significance behind it. And so a lot of these things struck me as a growing individual because I was like, this wasn't what we were talking about in high school.
Yeah.
And with fraternities and sororities that's a whole different limelight, because to see them be so active on campuses when it comes to just random performances that they'll do. So like you'll see a fraternity and sorority just randomly like step and stroll and just play music, and just go. And you're kind of like, whoa, what's going on? But that's their level of self-expression and them letting you know, like, hey, we're here on this campus, we're on the yard, as the term would be. And so for you as a young individual, you're like, wow, like how can I be a part of that? Like, how can I get involved? Or, when you see certain student groups and how they carry themselves, you're like, I'm glad I'm in this college. And with student groups, comparatively speaking, from high school to now in college, is a different level of expectation that they demand from students. And I love that because of some fact it teaches leadership, it teaches teamwork, it teaches accountability at the age that most people feel like they're entitled.
What are some of the benefits of being in a fraternity, a sorority, a different kind of organization through your college career?
I'm a part of an organization. We're not a fraternity. We are a social fellowship. So although we have different qualities of a fraternity and sorority, we have different upbringings and different foundings and different foundations. So my organization is Group 5 Group Social Fellowship Incorporated. For those that do not know, we are non-Greek but not anti-Greek. The benefits that I found within my organization, and the reason why I joined, and I think a lot of people join, is because you want to be surrounded by people that want more for themselves. As I was stating before, you want to be surrounded by individuals that are going places. Like, I'm all for helping people find themselves. And I know for being a part of an org, for me, it was a lot of that, wanting that more of positivity, empowerment, and just learning.
What are some of the connections you built through the organization that has helped you in your life?
That's a great question, because for certain people and for certain organizations, I'll say that is more privileged than others. There are certain organizations that offer it right off the bat, and then there are certain organizations where it's harder to be a part of that organization than to pledge that organization. And what I mean by that is you got to put in the work.
Yeah.
Not everybody's just going to give you that handout that you want. Although it's brotherhood, sisterhood, I got to really see if you are the same person that, that pledged. Because there are certain people that once they pledge and they get off, it's just they think it's a cakewalk. It's the work just got started, and so it's through those moments where people then from there kind of see your work ethic, see your character as an individual within the organization, and no longer a person who is pledging. That then from there they're like, I could pass the torch down.
Yeah.
Or I can open up these doors for you. That's the expectation that a lot of organizations have out of people.
Yeah, you got to put that work in. You definitely got to put that work in. I mean, this is great. This is going great. I see you still got your live going on over there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Tell the people to tune in.
Gotta get the people going.
I see a lot of benefit in joining an organization, a sorority, or a frat. We're going to save some of that for another podcast. But I really want to dive into Yellow Talks. How did Yellow Talks come about?
Oh, yeah. So for my viewers, share this with people, because you only going to hear this on here about why Yellow Talks got started. So the way Yellow Talks kind of got started was really more from a therapeutic stance. So I'm not the type of person that is very open about what I'm going through. And I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of things on my mind, on a consistency from just all the different experiences that I take in on a day-to-day, from working with my kids to college to work and all these different things. And so I don't really have anybody to vent to. And so I have my very close friends, but to me, I'm just I'm always so busy that by the end of my days, I'm kind of I just want to go home. I don't really want to talk to nobody. I just want to be in my bed and I kind of be in my own mental. And so it dawned on me one day as I was watching one of my close best friends. I hope she's watching this. I watched her do this where she was just venting on Instagram, just about things that she had questions about. And I know for me, I was just I don't got no questions about nothing, but I'm not really a social media type of guy to really vent about my feelings. But I was you know what? Why not? Yeah. So I just did it one day and I just started talking. I did it one day and then the next day kind of came about and I was I'm going to call it Yellow Talks. Because most of my Instagram name was Young Yellow and still is Young Yellow. It's kind of a name that just kind of stuck with me throughout undergrad and my college career because one, I was just a happy, jolly dude, and I was just always smiling all the time. And so one of my friends, she always used to just be yo, you're so yellow. You just happy. You smile all the time. You light skin. And so I was I ran with it.
Yeah.
I was Young Yellow. And that became my Instagram name. And so leading back into creating the term Yellow Talks, I kind of just started to use that as my therapeutic platform to just vent about my feelings and vent about things that were going on in my days. And from there, people started responding back and were yo, I feel that. I be going through the same thing. Or have you ever thought about it like this? Or, dang, I'm so sorry that you go through these things, but I think you should start to look at it from a lens like this. And certain people it started to gravitate more people. And then from there, I was like, yo, why not turn this into like a positive motivational type of thing?
Yeah.
And so then from there, I started to do that. And more people started to become attracted to it. And they were like, yo, I love the positivity that you're giving me, the level of empowerment. And you really make me feel more motivated about my days. Like, I look forward to your talks every morning, and it kind of keeps me going. It keeps my head high. And I kind of always feel like I could do it.
Yeah.
And to hear that from people that I would have least expected that from was very impactful to me. And I was kind of like, this is it. This is okay. We got something going here. And I loved it more for myself. I always want to express that to people because that's where it started from. That's where it originated from. It originated as a therapeutic platform for me. And then as I started to notice that it was helpful and positive for others, I was like, that's what I'm about. I love helping people. I love helping uplift others, giving them that positive motivation, that inspiration, and that consistency that they feel like, yes, I can do it. Giving people perspective and challenging them on that mindset was just something that it was awesome. And it just came to me. And then the whole concept of the good morning, beautiful people, trying to be good, trying to be great, and trying to be better, that just kind of came.
Yeah.
And it stuck because people loved it. And people, then from there, I started to notice that people were like, that's really, really where it started and where it originated. And then from there, it just kind of, it just took off. And I'm one of those people that when I have an idea that I'm very passionate about, I think like very large scale.
Yeah.
I always do.
So what's next for Yellow Talk?
We're going to start moving into the school district. I already have like my first public speaking gig next week, and I'm going to be speaking at Edmund O'Neill and everything like that. And so that's what's going to be happening there. But for the most part, I've never been in a strictly public speaking scenario. Like I've never been like invited in to speak with people, unless it was on a college spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other aspect is I plan on launching a podcast. So something like this, but where it's an extended dialogue of basically what I do with my morning talks, but having that dialogue with somebody else. Okay. So with different guests that I either bring on, and I'm definitely trying to bring you on to my thing, because we definitely be going back and forth about a lot of different topics off the scenes of all this professional stuff. So it's amazing just the creativity and mindset that we both be building off of each other sometimes, man. And so
Ant is doing now. He's doing. So I want him to shout out all his social media handles so you guys can follow him. You guys can check out his content, Yellow Talks, Yellow Talk Worldwide. I'm learning, but I'm going to let him tell you how to find him. How can they find you, Ant?
The way y'all can find me is one on IG, and IGTV is at Young Yellow. So young_yellow with an extra W, boom. And then on Facebook, Anthony Taz. So for all of you that do not really use IG or Snapchat or things of that nature, on Facebook, it's Anthony TAS. Boom, that's how you can find me there. As well as with Snapchat, it's an interesting name. Don't judge me up. This is where I just started out as is Ant.Dollars. So I'm trying to work on these things. I'm trying to figure out how to switch it to Young Yellow, and kind of keeping that brand. And then with the YouTube, follow me at Yellow Worldwide, y'all. So for all of the viewers, Yellow Worldwide is where you're gonna find me. All of my professional videos. I'm also gonna be trying to put up like all my morning videos. So like I'm trying to push out content to you guys all the time, every day, at any given point. Like even with doing this whole IG live thing, I don't go live, to be quite honest to people, and it's something that I would love to start doing, because I just love talking to people. I love building with people. I love building conversations. So being even on a platform like this that I'm very appreciative of is something and a blessing in itself. And so to everybody that's watching this, be a doer. Don't let anybody tell you anything different, because at the end of the day, only through failure can you really, truly attain success.
Yeah, I like that one right there, man. We out, man.
We out, baby. We out.